All right, hello everyone, and welcome back. Today I've got a fun lineup, so I'm going to be putting two German classics head to head. One is a Tucher Festbier, or Tucher, and the other one is probably one that you guys have seen more often, which is a Tucher Helles. Been a big fan of both. I've never actually tried them side by side, so this will be a first. They're not really meant to be super similar, but there's enough overlap here to make it an interesting test. Yes. Festbier is under the umbrella of Oktoberfests, and under that umbrella there are Festbiers, which is what this is, and then there are Marzens, which are a little sweeter. So this is not going to look like a typical Oktoberfest and dark and amber. Actually, it's going to look very similar in color to this one. ABV is higher though. On the right is 4.9, and this one is, well, it says it somewhere, 5.8. Again, naked eye, that is, I would say, identical color. Start with the more subdued version here first. Let me check in on the stream as well. There we go. Okay. Yeah, the Tucher Helles is fantastic. It's what you'd expect from a lager slash Helles. Clean, bready, not too sweet. Think of a Bud Light or Miller Lite with twice as much flavor and twice as much everything, but it's not a radical departure of a common macro lager. It just tastes so much more higher quality and more nuanced as well. Festbier, on the other hand, take these out here and show the cans off. Oops, show the cans off a little better. This is going to have a little more funkiness going on, almost like a saison, but very, very slight. Definitely, it tastes stronger. Like I said, the ABV is higher. Doesn't taste dark. It doesn't taste sweet. It doesn't taste caramely, that's one aspect of Oktoberfest I don't like, which is the sweet caramel brown syrupy flavors, I guess. I think in a blind taste test, Festbier would probably confuse a lot of people. Again, there's not a whole lot of Festbiers out there, but this is one of the better ones, I think. Although BeerAdvocate.com does disagree with me. For whatever reason, this is not highly rated on Beer Advocate, but I question their judgment sometimes. Alright. I'm going to be talking about fermented hot sauce here later. This is a 7-day ferment that I got going on. Let's try that. There we go. And I went on a backy buying spree. And after many rounds of peer pressure, I finally ventured into the HU tobaccos. The one that somebody was recommending here was $40 for like a 100-gram tin. This was half that price, but still pretty expensive. I have some thoughts on it. I've cracked open into these other two Savinellis as well. I needed to get away from the Cornell and Deal stuff. I needed to take a break. And so this is a good departure, I would say. But today, I'm just smoking some Oak Alley, which is not a departure from my normal stuff. apologize about the traffic going by. Let me see here. According to various sources, so Festbier is a modern Oktoberfest. You'd actually be drinking it in Munich. It's golden, smooth, and just a little stronger than your daily lager, usually around 6%. Again, this is 5.8. You'll notice bread crust, light honey sweetness, really easy drinking, but with more depth than a standard lager, which, that's a generic sentence, but that's accurate. And then the Helles is basically Bavaria's everyday beer. It's lighter, usually around 5%. Very balanced, not too sweet, not too bitter. Kind of not too much of anything, to be honest. It's got soft breadiness, a touch of sweetness, and just enough floral hop bitterness to keep it crisp. Crisp is a good word. I think I love Kolsch and I love Helles. It's hard to say exactly why, but I think crisp comes into... It's a good adjective used to describe both of them. I do kind of switch my beer preference by season. Again, it's September, so both of these are really all year round for me. They just don't make them all year round. I also think Kolsch is all year round. But I guess the biggest seasonal change would be the very few dark beers that I drink. It wouldn't be summertime; it'd be around this time. And even then, I don't really drink a lot of darker beers. I think there's some good candidates out there. I'll have to remember what they are. Mexican chocolate stouts and things that are peppery. My desire to eat hot things has never been higher than it is right now. I'll pipe that one out. I think it's what it's called. I need to do these closer side by side here. And they're closer than I thought. That is very close. Well, I think it's why I love them both. They're so close that if you love one, you're almost guaranteed to love the other one. That does not happen in a lot of other beer brands. And this is the exception. Finishing up on seasonal beers, the one beer that never comes into season for me is still, to this day, it's been true for almost a decade, no IPAs. There's no month or week or season that I really crave anything even close to an IPA. Even pale ales, I don't think have made their way into this house ever. It's just used to be into when I was in my 20s and then just grew out of it. Other than that, sours, I'd say the same thing. There's never a good season for sours for me. moving over into hot sauce territory. So this is what you call a mash. So it's basically blended habanero peppers, and I put tomatillos in there, and a couple other things, but it's basically 40% habanero, 40% tomatillo, and then 20% other vegetables. But you do like a 3 to 4% salt solution by volume, and this is on day 7 or 8, and the acidity level is down like by 3.5 pH level, so it's basically battery acid, which is what you want to keep the bacteria out. But I did a little taste test earlier today, and it definitely tastes fermenty. It's got that sourness that tobacco sauce has. But running clean so far. There's no mold or bacteria forming. Again, it's so acidic that nothing will live there. I did find a gnat that flew in very quickly, and I wouldn't say he drowned. I'd say he there's no pretty way to say it. I think the gnat basically liquefied in the battery acid. But I've been fermenting now for over 2 years, mostly vegetables. I never really thought about fermenting hot sauce, but I started making spicy hot cheese, and then I started making my own hot sauce, and then I realized homemade hot sauce doesn't stay that steady in the fridge. It doesn't go bad, but it changes flavor. So anything you ferment is going to have a longer shelf life, and so that was the motivation. And to add some of that tanginess, the Tabasco-y tanginess. Ideally, what you would do with this is you wouldn't really use it straight. You would blend it with other things, and blend it down, I should say, with pineapple, mango, cherries, whatever. And so this would go a long way. You would never actually eat chips in this directly. You'd also blend this with bean dips and cheese dips and whatnot. But it's fascinating. It seems odd to keep something out in room temperature for weeks at a time, but it works. Alright, let me get back to the tasting here before this goes warm. To answer the question, which one do I like better? There's really no question. So it is, although it gets boring sometimes, I think it's the Helles. But let's reapproach here from scratch. You really need a palate cleanser between these. Jesus. This is thicker to get through. The Festbier it's a little harder to get down. More body, a little thicker. Again, you can taste the ABV, not feel it, I guess. But it's not the Festbier is not a chugging beer for sure. Some people say certain beers are crushable. I wouldn't say it's crushable. I'm not sure crushability is a good thing, though, with beer. They don't use that word the same way in wine. No one ever says, oh, I need a crushable wine. Yeah, this goes down slower. I'm going to do a smaller pour there. Don't mix these up here. Reposition the camera. Alright. I think this camera has noise canceling built into it, so when cars pass by, hopefully it doesn't blow the speakers out. Yeah, there's something on Wikipedia here that I agree with. The Festbier, when it comes to the finish, the aftertaste, so to speak, it's smooth with the lingering malt, and the Helles is clean and snappy, and I would agree with that. There's nothing lingering on the Helles. No, no loitering on the Helles. Right. If you guys have taste preferences that switch by season, probably, or do me a favor, drop them in the comments. Also, what are your go-to lagers or session beers for this time of year? Let's reapproach here. Let's see if I identify with the word snappy. Let's say yes, there's a little snappiness going on. Again, almost boring, but in a good way. It's a high quality boring. Yeah, malts. I never thought about that word, but it is maltier. Out of all the fest beers I've had, though, this is by far my personal favorite. It's not even the top 100 on beeradvocate.com within the style, which is a damn shame, but another thing about beeradvocate.com is depending on what style you're looking up, they rank them within the style. But the average score in something like a bourbon barrel-aged stout, the average score is like outstanding. The average score for a Pilsner is like mediocre. So you can't even look at the scores objectively, you have to look at the ranking within the style. This is like not even in the top 100. I don't know where the fascination with all the bourbon barrel-aged fill-in-the-blank stouts, porters. I've tried several, and I've tried some pretty highly rated ones according to the website. I'll type in the one that did blow me away, which is I forget the brewer, or the brewery, but it's in Richmond. That may not even be barrel aged, but no, it has to be. But that stuff, it should be illegal, it's so good. I gotta look this up now. Now I'm curious. Gingerbread Man beer. Hardywood. Yeah, Hardywood. If you can get your hands on it, if you're in the southeast, if you're east of the Mississippi, there's a chance you can get your hands on it. But it is, like I said, it's dangerously good. It's the only sweet beer I think I've ever enjoyed. Something about the older I get, I like sweets occasionally, but I don't like to drink sweet things. There's a couple exceptions. A pina colada would be an exception. Yeah, there's a funkiness to this fest beer. Like I said, it's definitely not a saison of any type, but in a blind taste test, if someone said, does this have like a Saison yeast in it? And I don't know a lot about yeasts, but and a farmhouse Saison yeast, I would say absolutely. It's hard to describe the funkiness, but it's there. The horror movie Midsummer. This is what I would imagine those witchy people in the white dresses drinking. It definitely feels like you're in some small village in Scandinavia, obviously Germany, but I get like a Burning Man for dropout hippies type of vibe when I'm tasting this. It definitely feels like something that could have been made like in your grandma's backyard type of deal. It definitely has a DIY type of vibe to it. This you could picture in, you know, industrial vats, making it by the gajillion gallon tanks, and that's fine because it's still fantastic. But this one has a mom and pop shop vibe to it. Mecca high, Mecca hiney ho. I smoked this a few times. I don't have any specific tasting notes yet. It is definitely different than anything I've had recently. To be honest, I think this is a little bitey. I've been every time I smoke a bowl of this, I smoke something else as well. So it's hard to tell exactly what that next day bite effect is, but not crazy bitey, just one of these is biting me a little bit. This is also lightly topped, you can tell. I don't think it says it on the tin, but there's a slight casing going on here, I have to imagine. Consists of strong, chocolatey Malawi burley. I didn't know that was a type of burley. Mixed with a little red Virginia, Louisiana Perique, and Virginia white burley cube cut. It sounds amazing. Oh, I didn't know this was Ladisi as well. Okay. Well, I'll be damned. I haven't done this in a while, but since I have my oak alley in one pipe, I think it's fair to do a little side by side. Let me go grab another pipe here. I'd never smoked this pipe, but we are today. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Keep these here. Not a full bowl, just like maybe a quarter bowl at most. Just a little bit, wiggle it, just a little bit. Alright. This is going to be apples and oranges, but why not? Yeah, that is cased. There is definitely a casing there. Screw it. I'll tell you what though, I haven't really had time to focus on this specific blend, but until now, that charring light, I'll tell you what, that is tasty. That's got some, again, a little bit artificial, but it's got some sweetness to it. The retrohale, killer. I shouldn't say killer. It's nice. It's not. There's actually not tons of flavor. It's pretty. It's the cream on the top. There's not a lot of body. You know, sometimes a retrohale is like a plume of depth. Not so much here. It's definitely lighter. Although it has burley in it. Trying to think what I compare this against. Oak Alley, definitely not topped or cased. There's nothing artificial going on here, which is why I love it. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. Bless me. If I didn't know any better, I would guess this is definitely a Virginia Perique, a vapor, with a light topping. I don't. They don't tell you how much the ratios. You don't know how much burley is in this, but this tastes like a very solid vapor. Virginia Perique. So I'm glad I bought it. Now, Savinelli, I think we all know, very likely don't really do their own blending. So it's more of a label, but I'm sure some of you know who's actually doing the blending here. I mean, it's all Ladisi, so it's basically all Cornell and Deal, I guess. I could be wrong though. I don't have it stayed up to date on all the acquisitions between companies, but I can't really distinguish between these two because I kind of end up smoking them side by side, or one after another. But damn it, it's time to venture out into other brands or other labels just to get a different experience. I've kind of been stuck in the same 20-30 blends for a couple years, and even though those blends are changing over time, it's not quite enough of a change. I haven't really ventured out and done something crazy. So this was the not that this is crazy, but this is the most newness in terms of flavor profiles I've had in a long time. The only thing I could have done is get rope. But that's a bigger jump. I haven't smoked rope in a long time. Again, very nice, but very light. There's no darkness in that back heat. Yeah, between the two, I'm going to stick with Helles almost all the time. Maybe depend on the meal you have it with, where maybe like something really fatty like sausage or something spicy, a big meaty dish, I could see the Festbier really like standing out and poking through, whereas the Helles kind of get lost in the mix. Rarely do I don't really eat big meals with beer for whatever reason. I eat so quickly that I don't spend usually more than 5 minutes actually consuming a meal. It's probably bad, but it's true. I wish I could be like the French and like make every meal stretch out to like an hour, but I mean, a meal is what, 22 bites? Like, if you take a bite a minute, that's still like 22 minutes. I don't know how you stretch out a meal into multiple hours. I think what they do is, by the time a fork actually dips into something, that's when the clock starts, and I think almost every person eats within 20 minutes. It's the ordering, sitting down, it's all the waiting, I think, is what makes up that traditional French 2-hour dinner. But the course buffets are a different story. Hey, Yoart, welcome. I've covered all the science, Yoart, so you have to go back and watch this from the beginning. But in summary, I finally got peer pressured into buying HU tobacco, so I got this, smoking it now. It's pretty nice, but very light, doesn't really taste like a burley Virginia. And in the beer competition, this one beat this one. For most purposes. But they're both really, really close to one another. And then, lastly, everyone should start fermenting hot sauce. Director's cut. Well, I already said earlier, I think that was the one somebody recommended, but there's one HU blend that is $40 for the same size tin. And I think I could be wrong. I think it's Director's Cut. That was the one that everybody was recommending. So I had to go with the second most popular. I'll drop some money on Backy occasionally, but not $40 for 100 grams. No way. Can't do it. Maybe if it were like aged something amazing, I could see it. If it were aged Oak Alley, I could see it. I do love how Oak Alley plumes, though. That is a plume in Backy right there. Where the Makua, not really a plumer. It burns, and it burns right nice, to be honest. But it doesn't produce those Oak Alley plumes that I like so much. This one's got some honey in it or something. I'm trying to figure out the topping. I don't know what that topping is. Yeah, this is sweet. I tell you what, This is not a surprise, not on this channel. This would be, I say this about everything. This would be great for mixing with something darker, something with more body, I should say, not darker. Because I can just imagine, we've all got those big body blends that just, they've got the body and the mouthfeel and the oomph, but they don't really have any dessert-like, even a hint of any sweetness. Man, this would give sweetness in a non-artificial way. You could add sweetness to pretty much any of your burley blends, even straight red Virginia blends. I'm going to mix this later tonight. I haven't mixed with anything yet. I've been smoking it straight, but I think that's its role. Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this. I can't remember specific tasting notes of these two, but I've had multiple bowls of each, but they were kind of quick bowls, so I didn't write down my thoughts. But I mean, for the price, this was always like a good deal. So on smokingpipes.com, these were, everything Savinelli was, I think 10% off, so I got a little savings there. So that was like a why not type of thing. And I never bought the Savinelli brand before. When it comes to Backy, at least. Alright, keep track of my pipes here. Alright, welcome new people. Most of my taste testing is done, so you'll have to watch this from the beginning. Savinelli pipes or Savinelli Backy? That's the question. You never see or hear people on YouTube actually reviewing, as far as I know, Savinelli Backy. I think this is the first Savinelli I've ever bought, but I like getting those obscure brands occasionally. So have you had these, Yor? You know? I don't even know how the hell to pronounce this one. Doublon d'Oro. Juno is delicate. Juno is a delicate amalgam. Talk about fancy words. Amalgam of stoved and unstoved Virginias, red and bright. I'll try to memorize this before I turn it around. The choicest Virginias and Burleys with Kenyan, what the hell? Dark-fired Kenyan leaf to enhance. There's a lot of adjectives in that description. Zesty coins, delightfully vivacious, aged to perfection before being spun. Impeccable addition of spice. I mean, geez, this is a... Their writing staff is pretty good here. Mr. Kimbo, welcome. The 140, 145. Oh, that must be a series. Oh man, just when it peaked. I gotta get going soon. Alright guys, thanks for joining me. I do have to cut this one a little bit short. It's been about 40 minutes though. I'll try to get notifications out earlier. But everyone have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Remember, start fermenting your own hot sauce. Take care.